everyone. Welcome to the 2021 New York International Children's Film Festival. My name is Maria Cristina Villaseñor. I'm the programming director here at NICIF. And boy, for those of you who are joining us directly from the Raya and the Last Dragon screening, was that not incredible? Just an amazing film. I'm sure you were completely blown away, but hang on, it gets even better. We have this amazing opportunity tonight to be joined with the incredible talent behind Raya and the Last Dragon and have this Q&A opportunity to talk with them, learn about the making of, and you get to pose your questions directly at the end as well. So we couldn't be more thrilled. And before we kick it off, I just want to let folks know that as a nonprofit organization, we at NICIF are proud to present films that challenge stereotypes, spark conversation, and inspire creativity, all thanks to the generous support of our funders, donors, and members. So thank you to all of our supporters, and a huge thanks to Disney for making this screening and conversation possible tonight. So we hope you check out more of our great films and Q&As, and please consider becoming a member or making a donation if you can, and help to support us bringing this great work to kids across the country. All right, without further ado, let's kick off this talk to Raya. I am thrilled to be introducing to you the creative talents behind this team, starting with the voice of Raya, acclaimed actor Kelly Marie Tran. Welcome, Kelly. So great to see you.
Hello.
I'm so
excited to
be joining us.
Thank you.
And now we have the film's directors, Don Hall and Carlos Lopez Estrada.
Hello, hello, everybody.
Hi there. And also we have the film's writers, Kui Gwen and Adele Lim.
Hi.
Amazing. And last but certainly not least, the film's producer who makes it all come together, Osnat Shurer. Welcome.
Hi. Thank you. Hi.
Thank you all so much for being here. You all are an incredible team and a dynamic force, everybody unto themselves, but together. I've already gotten a sense of your incredible energy. It's so great to be able to share that with audiences. And I'm excited for you all to talk individually and together. So I just thought that in order to kick things off, we just share a little clip that kind of places us in the story world of this wonderful Southeast Asian excitement and drama. So let's have a look at that clip and then we'll kick off the conversation.
Why are you here, Divine Water Dragon?
Isn't that obvious, big guy? My girl Raya and I are gonna fix the world.
Let's catch you up. It is so exciting to be the first Southeast Asian Disney princess. It is a big deal. Raya is one of the fiercest characters.
In Raya and the Last Dragon, we were inspired by things about Southeast Asia to create a wholly original story and fantasy world called Kumandra.
This land used to be inhabited by mystical dragons, which brought magic and harmony. But over time, the land split apart.
Our lands have been at war for as long as we can remember.
And now she's on this mission to bring this world back together with this ragtag group of misfits.
I wish to join this fellowship of kickery.
A nice ending point there. Such great humor, and obviously the story world is so rich and so important in terms of its representation. And I know that there's so much research that goes in even before the writing starts. So maybe Don and Carlos, if you want to just start off by telling us a little bit about that process.
Yeah, absolutely. So much research. It actually kind of all started there with, a few trips where, the separate teams that had worked on the film went to many different countries throughout Southeast Asia and just toured around, met people, ate food, listened to music, and saw sights and just got inspired. And that's generally how a lot of our films start. It's filmmakers getting inspired by something, and that was all brought back to the studio, and that that formed the basis of the movie. But the most important thing that happens on these trips really is relationships that are made with people that are met during that time. And you know, there are a lot of experts in different things like architecture and music and, you know, linguists, and that forms the basis of our Southeast Asian Story Trust. And that group was along with us through the whole ride of this film, and we're extremely influential in helping us create this film.
Well, Snot had done something similar for Moana, and we sort of like benefited from having that model on Raya. And you know, I should probably pass it on to her because she can shed a little bit of light onto it. But what was incredible for us was that we had this group of creative people who were from the region, who could share their lived experiences, and they were with us from the moment we joined the project until now. They're still around. They were checking every design, checking the character designs, checking the pages that we would turn in, the new scripts, the cuts, and giving us feedback. So we were really building it with them, and I think that's part of the reason why the movie feels so rich and so layered. Yeah, sorry, Osa, I don't know if there's anything that you.
Sure, I would love to add to it because it's so exciting to get to collaborate with people, you know, from the cultures that inspire the film. So both on the one hand, we had experts in their topics, whether it's a cultural anthropologist whose expertise lies in visual representation of ritual or of conversation of anything of culture, all the way to being even luckier that some of the key creatives on the film, including some who are here with us today, our writers and our head of story, Fawn Sinthorn, who grew up in Thailand, and many others on our crew are also of Southeast Asian origin or very connected to the culture, you know, cultural roots, and so cultures. And so the lived experience is there on the screen when it's also in the story room, when it's also in every conversation that we have. So we feel very lucky to have had that chance.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'd love to kick it over to you, Hui and Adele. There's so much personality that seems to come from both of you. There's this great humor, Adele, that makes me think about, you know, you work on Crazy Rich Asians, and then so much that you bring to it in terms of personality. And Hui, I know you have a really rich and playful background as well. So, you know, tell us about your own perspectives, and you're coming from different, very specific, you know, cultural perspectives within Southeast Asia as well.
I think it's so exciting because, you know, I've been a writer for a while, and this is the first time I really got to lean into my own culture, having grown up in Malaysia. And with Kui, you know, he's Vietnamese and growing up in Arkansas. But when we compare, you know, life experiences, there is this common thread of like not seeing faces like ours in big Hollywood movies, you know, and we're so proud of our culture. We know how beautiful and rich and varied it is, but it feels like, you know, that maybe sometimes the world is blind to it or doesn't see it because it's not celebrated as much. So being able to use that as the inspiration has been fantastic.
What was so great about having all these teams and all these animators and artists that invest in learning more about the culture was in a lot of ways that took the onus off of Adele and myself and Fawn from having to be the experts in this. Because I think when making movies like this, it's so often easy to just look at the person who looks like that culture and go, tell us everything. But we didn't have to be those things. We got to make it very personal for Adele and myself. You know, these are heroes that we wanted to see. This was a story we wanted to tell. We could really concentrate on making a hero that I think our kids will be very moved and cherished in having. That goes even beyond just having to do cultural research on it. And that was something that was really nice, that the entire team got to have a personal connection to these cultures. So those who are from it could just tell a story that we've always wanted to tell.
Yeah, absolutely. And Kelly, we'd love to hear from you. Obviously, you know, stepping to this role is meaningful on so many levels, I'm sure. But what was that sort of first moment like for you when you first learned that you'd be Raya?
You know, I feel like this is one of those things that, if I'm being honest, I was just absolutely terrified when I heard that I was part of this. It's something, as a Disney kid growing up and loving these movies and recognizing how important they were to me and how integral they were to my childhood, and then now being part of one, it's a big deal. And I think that I don't think that we think about, or we talk about that enough, like just like the actual visceral fear that comes with doing something that feels so much bigger than you. But I obviously was so lucky to work with all of these incredible people that sort of made the experience really as magical as anyone can imagine this experience is, if not more. Truly.
Yeah, and I think that's why audiences connect so well with you. You know, part of that like honesty about, you know, stepping into your fears and being able to work through them. You know, it really connects with kids. It connects with all of us. So I was just hoping you would take us a little bit deeper into the process of embodying the role of Raya, and also some of the challenges of like this whole production happening during a pandemic. So I was thinking maybe we could take a look at a little bit of your behind the scenes footage of recording, and then you can tell us more. Does that sound good?
I'm very excited to see this.
Excellent. All right, so let's take a look at that next clip, please, and then we'll hear more from Kelly.
Hi, I'm Kelly Marie Tran. I'm playing Raya in Raya and the Last Dragon, and these are my video diaries. I'm going to give you a tour of the makeshift voiceover booth that I've been using at home. So here's the microphone. Recording from home has been really fun, but there's been some hard things, especially with having internet that's always freezing. It could be really frustrating when you're in the middle of a really good take, and then all of a sudden, just kidding.
That was awesome. Give me some shit.
Whoa. It looks so good.
I am so just inspired by how many people are working on this from home.
Our actors, including you, have been so gracious, letting us not only into their home, into their closets so that we can record together.
I'm about to watch the trailer for the first time. Okay. My name is Raya. I'm realizing that I might have always been a Disney kid. Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C. So it's pretty crazy that now I get to be a Disney princess. That's pretty crazy. Today I'm at Walt Disney Animation Studios. This is actually where I auditioned. So it's crazy to be back here.
I'll always remember the first time that we met you, we did that recording, Kelly, because we had found the voice and the heart behind the character.
The best time, truly. Oh, I love you guys. You're getting a little too big for this, bud. I can't wait for you guys to see this.
Oh my goodness.
That was awesome. I hadn't seen that. That's great.
Oh my goodness. It is so crazy to see all of those videos from like just different times throughout the production. Wow. Yeah, it's been a journey. Oh my goodness. I'm like feeling the emotions of watching that. I hadn't seen that either.
Just to add a quick thing, I just learned this recently about Kelly. Like, you know, she's serious about the Disney nerd thing. Like she has favorite foods in Disneyland. Like I didn't know there was a Main Street like corn dog cart apparently. And so like, you know, and I didn't know this about you. So like to be like such a massive Disney fan and you are now like the Disney heroine. It's like,
yeah, it's crazy. Okay, and I know this is going to sound cliche for whoever's watching, but I really just think this is the truth. And you've sort of seen now in that video just like how Disney fanatic I was growing up, and just recognizing that I don't come from a place where, you know, I had no one in my family that knew anything about this industry. Everything sort of seemed impossible to me, and for me to be part of this now and to be here talking to all of these talented people, like part of this team, like magical things are possible. And I do really believe that from the bottom of my heart, that if you have a crazy dream and you pursue it and you work really hard and you surround yourself with people who are supportive and wonderful, it is possible, because that's the only explanation that I I can say for how I'm here. I don't know. Yeah.
Kelly, is there anything in the last few days that has, like, I imagine many things, but anything that has like really rocked your boat of just being like, whoa?
Yeah, I guess like getting photos from people of their kids like playing with Raya's sword, or just hearing from friends about how their kids have watched it like 5 or 6 times already and they're quoting the movie, and that's stuff that I did as a kid, you know, like with Disney animated movies. So yeah, I think it's pretty mind-blowing, you know, we're doing something cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, when he was over at Marvel, like I remember asking my colleagues over there, how do you know when Black Panther succeeds? And they were just very honest with it, when white kids want to be Black Panther. And this was a story I shared with Adele recently, like literally just the other day after we opened, we shared the movie with our pod family, and they're a white family. And right afterwards, like minutes afterwards, all 3 little boys and my kids were fighting over who was going to be Raya and Amari. So not only did they want to be a hero, they wanted to be a hero that wasn't their gender nor their race. And it just kind of like made me like happy cry to see like we made something that now my kids get to see a character that looks like them, have kids that don't look like them go, hey, that's a hero. You look like that hero. So that in some small, subtle way tells them that you can be one too. And that was the goal, I think, for Adele and I when we came on board, to give that gift to our children, and to now see it kind of happen, actually happen, has been completely my mind is completely blown by this whole experience.
Yeah, absolutely. What you said about that's a hero, that's what a hero looks like. A hero can look incredibly different from what you might have imagined, or can look just like you. For those of us that haven't seen ourselves represented enough on screen, I mean, this is incredible. And I think, Kelly, also what you're saying about you're not necessarily having grown up with a sense of having a point of entry into this field or industry, that's huge. I wonder if you could just tell us a little bit more, because I know our kids love to hear about, what you were like as a kid, how you connected with your creativity, and how that came about.
Yeah, I was a big nerd. I very much grew up as sort of, part of every club in high school. I was in peer counseling. I was in Key Club. There's this thing called natural helpers in middle school. Not sure if anyone knows what that is.
But I love the sound of it. I just love how that sounds. Awesome.
Natural helper, yeah. ASB, all of it. Like growing up, I just loved Harry Potter and Lord of the Rings, and any world that sort of had magic as a part of it. Yeah, and I grew up in a household where my parents, were refugees from the Vietnam War. Very much came from a place of never had the luxury of having a dream. Like their whole life was just about making sure that we had food on the table, we had a roof over our heads. And so for me to then have this impossible dream, I think was at first very hard for them to understand. And yeah, and I guess I was crazy and decided to continue to pursue it despite all of the impossible parts about it. And I am now here talking to you very much at a loss for words. I'm not speaking well right now, but I just think I really think if I could do it, then anyone can. That's the honest truth.
Fantastic. Yeah, and it's also important to hear. So maybe we can take a look at another clip that just shows a little bit of the dynamic between you and Aquafina, which is so much fun. So let's take a look at the next clip, and you can share a bit about that.
You're glowing.
Oh, thank you. I use aloe and river slime to maintain my...
No.
Look. Oh, this is my little sister Amba's magic. I got the glow!
Your little sister's magic?
Yeah, every dragon has a unique magic.
Okay, what's yours?
I'm a really strong swimmer.
Wait. You touched this gem piece and it gave you powers. You know what this means, right?
I no longer need a nightlight.
What? No. You're still connected to the gem's magic. And that means you can still use it to save the world. If we can get all the other gem pieces, you can reassemble it and
boom the Droon away.
And bring my Bob back?
And bring all of Kumandra back.
We have no host.
That's such a great dynamic.
Oh,
sorry, just having a little issue with my video, but please tell us a little bit about your interactions with Aquafina. It seems so natural, but
Oh my gosh, I love her so much, and I cannot say enough positive things about her. And I would venture to say, not just about her, but every single person in this cast is just so incredible, and not only magical performers, but also incredible humans. And the relationship between Aquafina, myself, and also Sisu and Raya, it's funny because as we were recording, you know, every actor was sort of in isolation. But then the second Aquafina and I met over Zoom, we automatically had this sort of banter. And I think that she is the best.
Fantastic. And I want to just go, I'm just having a little bit of issue with my own video feed. So let's take a look at our next animation clip. And then I want Carlos and John to talk a little bit about that process. So next clip, please.
The animation on this movie is on a totally different level, and it's amazing. When you think that this movie was animated from home,
It's incredible. You know, we have a crew of 400 plus people.
We were animating, lighting, having story meetings. All of that was done from everyone's home with dogs and cats and babies.
It could only have happened because everybody is passionate about the films we make, and they brought that. I mean, the movie is, I think, one of our most beautiful films.
All right, so John and Carlos, tell us about this incredible animation. It's just mind-blowing on so many levels.
Do you want to start, Don?
Sure. Yeah, I know we're supposed to, be the directors and give, cogent notes and feedback and stuff like that. But most of the time our jaws were on the ground. I mean, just to be honest, it was, just in terms of where we're at as a studio, I think everybody has grown over the last, maybe 10 years, and has gotten to the place, where they're just master animators, from top to bottom, and we were the sort of beneficiaries of that, and luckily, we were able to provide a story to bring out, their best work, and and even the look of the film is so cinematic and so rich and so detailed. Again, that's a byproduct of 10 years of building on each film. Each film builds on the last one in terms of what we discovered technologically. Like Moana, we kind of figured out water. No, we did figure it out, but it's still, water's really hard. But still, like, we kind of, each film builds on each other. The film before it. And then, as far as the pandemic goes, yes, it was very difficult, but, everybody loved this movie so much that I think they just put everything they had into it. And, that's the results we got.
Yeah, I think there were two main concerns when the pandemic hit. The first one was on a cultural level, just like the studio culture in Disney animation and the level of intimacy and collaboration that exists there. And then the second was on a quality control level, what was going to happen after we, spent 6 or 7 months working from home, watching everything on our computers and on iPads, on screens that were like this big, and eventually blowing it up in a theater screen, and just curious, what were all the little mistakes and details and inconsistencies that we were going to notice then. We're kind of terrified. And then we had two amazing surprises. The first one is that it really brought our crew together in a way that almost wouldn't have happened had we not had the pandemic. It just made everyone try extra hard to connect, to be there for the other, to trust that we were all working on the same thing, even we were so far apart, working like we are talking now, just over Zoom. It created a spirit of community that was so strong and so beautiful and so unexpected, because we just were really worried that people were going to struggle through it. And of course, it's really difficult time, but I think it offered that sort of that thing that we need when we feel like most tested, which is just like a group of people that are there for you, watching out for each other. And that was gorgeous. And then the second thing that was also very surprising is that we sat down for the first time to watch some of the footage on a big screen, and we were all blown away by the level of detail, everything that we couldn't see, everything that we weren't aware of, but for the better. It wasn't the mistakes and it wasn't the inconsistencies. It was like, wow, look at the textures and the minutia in the animation and all the things that we just couldn't see on a tiny screen, but now it's amplified and like so much more beautiful to watch. So thankfully, I think the silver lining of this really difficult time is that, you know, the movie exists, that we did it from home, and that our team really ended up a lot stronger than it started, which is crazy.
That's fantastic. And also I want to segue to another clip that sort of looks at the animation, but also talks about some of the wonderful characters and just get into the joy of the characters that you all created. So let's roll the next clip, please.
Tuk tuk, roll.
Whoa.
Jump!
Who was that girl?
That's Namari. She's the backstabbing Venturi that broke the world.
Wow, those cats are really fast, huh?
What do cats and Droon have in common?
They have no souls.
And they both hate water.
Oh.
Hold on!
So that I think was one of the early production clips, because you hear that the full soundtrack obviously wasn't there, but it's just beautiful to look at in terms of, you know, that motion, that character of Tuk Tuk that is both a great character in and of themselves, but like, you know, just that dynamic action that happens throughout, that you're able to do through movement, but also through all these magical powers. So maybe if you all could just jump in and tell us about some of these great characters. And also, we had a really fun conversation earlier about some other smaller characters that sort of relate to Tuk Tuk. So maybe Carlos, you want to take it away and throw it to others?
Yeah, maybe I'll start. I love Raya and I love Kelly, but everyone talks about her. So I'm going to talk about Sisu, who's my favorite Disney dragon. And then if you want, Don, I'll pass it over to you. And Kelly, that was a joke. I hope you know that you're my favorite. I just love the character of Sisu because I consider her to be such an inspirational being, and someone that growing up, I feel like I would have really connected to, and I would have really been sort of like using as like a character that I'd like to emulate and be more like. And I think that people watching the movie would really benefit from learning some of Sisu's lessons. I think that also because she's a water dragon, she's greatly inspired by the mythology of the Naga from the Southeast Asian region. I feel like it's a really, really unique character that I had never seen before, and I learned so much from our development process, and like finding her voice, and also working with Aquafina was a real joy. So for all those reasons, I have way too many Sisu toys around my house. It's a little embarrassing. So there's Sisu.
I'll take Tuk Tuk. So, you know, I think, you know, I remember seeing sketches of Tuk Tuk years ago. And just up in the hallway, because that's, you know, where we work. We just, you know, we have the kind of bulletin boards with sketches pinned up, just kind of like what, you know, like they had, you know, for over 100 years, you know. And so I do remember seeing sketches of this kind of roly-poly armadillo, pangolin, insect creature that was adorable. And just loving the idea of Tuk Tuk, the idea that you could have two sort of forms, one, you know, walking around on all fours, and two, you know, highly, you know, just a super speeding, ball of awesomeness. And as a personality, I think we were kind of going for loyal, sort of dog-like, easily distracted, but lovable. And from the very first stuff that was animated with Tuk Tuk, we could tell like he was going to be kind of a breakout character. And then when we had the opportunity to show him as a little guy, I think we all were feeling, because we fell in love with him early on, and we kind of felt audiences probably would too. And we love the idea that he started as a basically little softball sized character, and then bloomed up to a size of a Volkswagen or something like that.
All right, that seems like a natural segue to the Beatles. Do you want to go for that?
So here's, I guess, the big secret when it comes to like making these movies. Half the time you spend just making each other laugh, right? Like we spent a lot of time in the room just kind of daring each other, like, can you put that in a movie? And it all kind of started off as a joke to see if I could make Don Hall crack up, basically. And that was, I put in this little thing called a fart gopher, which was the whole idea was Raya and Tuk Tuk rolled through the countryside, and then suddenly a gopher would pop up and fart. And I thought that would be funny. And then Don was like, no, if we're going to put a farting thing into the movie, it has to affect the story somehow. And so then we went in the process, tried to find a way for them to be a complication. How could they help and hinder? And then we also, Oznat was like, we don't actually have a gopher design. So maybe we find some animal that we have designed and make it fart instead. So then we had to go through a catalog of different animals, including at one point looking at the lizard from Frozen 2 and going, could we bring that thing over and make it fart? And then finally we landed on these cute little beetles that we decided to toot. And then I don't know, it was Don or Carlos, then decided, what if they tooted, then exploded? Again, trying to make each other laugh. And I don't know who it was, but that's kind of the secret to Disney Animation, is the fact that our first audiences are ourselves. And so we spend a lot of time making each other crack up, feel emotions, trying to make each other cry. And then we try to do the same thing with our actors as soon as they come into the booth. And it's just this incredible collaborative space where we're all just sharing and with stories and emotions and laughter. And it's an incredible place to be.
I think the subject of that email we got was like something along the lines of Kumandran animals that could fart, question mark.
And how lucky we were that we had options, right?
Always.
I mean, look, let's be honest. Let's just be honest. I think we were always shocked that they stayed in the movie. Like it made us laugh first, but and because this is sort of inside baseball, but at Disney Animation, we screen our films for each other all the time. Basically every couple months, we're screening the storyboard reels or production reels. And so we're constantly watching it, constantly seeing what works, what doesn't work, and honing. But as directors and writers, we get a chance to actually be in an audience, even though it's a lot of people that we work with. But so we're our first audience, and that kind of went away with the pandemic. We didn't really have a chance to do that. We didn't have a chance to sit in a theater and see what worked and what didn't work. And so it was sort of a leap of faith with the old toot and booms, just because it made us laugh, and we're like, okay.
It had to go through all the filters of the company.
Yeah.
Like first we were like, hey, Oznat, we came up with this idea. Are you cool with it? She was like, look, I'm cool with it, but let's see if Jen, our chief creative officer, agrees. And then we like screen it for Jen, or like, hey Jen, what do you think about the toot and booms? She's like, look, I think they're funny, but let's see if the people across the street think they're funny. And then like that, it just went on and on and on, and no one ever said no, and there they are.
Coming to a Disney store near you. No, I'm just kidding.
This is all so impressive to our young kid audience. Like, you can have an amazing job and get away with silly humor if you work and work and work and work. So I want to take that to the next incredible point, I think, which is about Kui and your contribution of being a writer and fight consultant, which is I'm sure the coolest thing for our kids. So maybe we'll just take a quick look at that clip and you can tell us about shaping that, and everyone can talk about this fierce character and this exciting action that happens within Raya. So let's take a look at that clip, please.
You and the dragon are coming with me. My sword here says we're not.
I have the honor of being one of the martial arts consultants on the film. I got to incorporate the knowledge I had from Southeast Asian martial arts into those fight sequences. You see weapons get pulled out from Raya that are Eskrima that come from the Philippines. When you see Raya fall into a fight stance, you could go, that's our niece. That's Muay Thai. That's Krabi Krabong.
The level of action in this movie is pretty tight. It's pretty tight.
The world's broken. You can't trust anyone. I think the themes of this movie are so relevant.
Maybe it's broken because you don't trust anyone.
Learning how to find the goodness in the world, I think, is such a beautiful, important message. I really just can't wait for people to see it.
So as Awkwafina said, the action is pretty tight. It's really exciting to see such a strong female character and to have it, have that physicality. So Kelly, maybe you can tell us a little bit about stepping into that, and Kui, you can tell us about, just shaping that and all that richness that you brought to all those different fight scenes and that cultural specificity, as you were saying, of all those different styles and cool, implements and everything that's going on.
I'm really excited to hear what Kui has to say, because all I did was grunt in a makeshift fort. So,
but it was a fierce grunt. But okay, we'll go to Kui and we'll go back to you. It was a fierce and emotive grunt.
The heartbeat, the DNA, the very core of what this movie is an action adventure movie. It was a big epic fantasy, that's celebrating Southeast Asian cultures, and because of that, it was very, very important for me that it celebrated those martial arts that come from the region. For me personally, it was martial arts that I studied, specifically Arnis and Muay Thai, and I also wanted to celebrate Kunjak Salat and some traditional Vietnamese wrestling moves in there too. But it's because for me that it was just important that it was to celebrate a culture. Again, like, I'm glad that everyone did the research and it's very authentic and all that. But what it was important to me was if people fall in love with this character, they fall in love with Raya, which I think they are. That, like how I was as a kid, when the first moment I fell in love with Bruce Lee, I could go and study Jeet Kune Do. I could study Wing Chun because those are real things. If you fell in love with like Harry Potter, Kelly, like, magic is really hard to study since it's not actually real. I love Star Wars, but it's really hard to study being a Jedi. But when it comes to Raya, if you fall in love with this world, or you fall in love with Kumandra, you fall in love with these heroes that you can see yourself in, you can go and study these things. They're real. They're, like when I love Karate Kid, I can go study Kung Fu Karate. Here you can study these things. And I think that kind of, I think that when it comes to writing stories, creating movies, we're all putting like touches of ourselves, part of our souls, part of who we are into these things. And part of me was this true love and passion for the martial arts. And I wanted to share that and celebrate that in the best way possible. And also, it's just amazing to watch Namari and Raya fight in this thing. Like, it's a legitimate, like, I'd put those fights up against almost any other movie fight. And what I loved about it was generated from a place of real physicality that people can actually do. We weren't like running on treetops or shooting fireballs. These were real martial arts, and it really celebrated not just the martial arts from those regions, but female martial artists and how a female martial artist would actually move. And that's something that I can't take credit for. That was our beautiful animators who authentically represented the female form in that, and also my co-fight choreographer Maggie McDonald, who with her fighters really gave these fights shape and weight and gravity, and I just love what we were able to do with this film through that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that mastery, as you were saying, and discipline and strength, and it's represented so incredibly. But Kelly, once again, I think that you're really modest about your accomplishments because, your performance about demonstrating a character who's both very determined and angry and vulnerable and questioning, it goes through this whole range of things. So I wonder if you just share a little bit about how you dug into all those different emotions and showed this multifaceted character.
Yeah. Man, I love that Raya is a character who, just like you said, gets to sort of experience the entire spectrum of human experience. She is funny and sarcastic, and then at moments she is sad and vulnerable, and at moments, like you said, she's just like viscerally angry. And it's so powerful to see a female hero depicted that way. I don't know that I've seen it depicted that way before. And that's me, I think the most important thing, because it is animation and because also we were during COVID, like in these weird environments, I was really grateful that I had such a supportive environment to sort of be able to play and to try things. And I think that a lot of those moments were sort of found, during those sessions. And you have Dawn and Carlos spitting out like different ideas, and Qui's like writing different ideas. Adele's there, like it's such a collaboration. It absolutely is. And I think even more so, like when Qui's talking about the animation itself and how every moment has to be created, every environment has to be creative, every piece of hair has to be created. It's just a totally different game than live action. And I think the creative collaboration is just at such a higher level because you have to. And so, yeah, I definitely feel like Raya as a character was a result of all of these.
Yeah, truly. The creative energy and exchange is so palpable, here and in the film. So kudos to all of you. And I could talk to you all forever and would love to, but I also want to give our kids a chance to ask some questions to you directly. So if you would be so gracious, I'll turn it over to kids now. And let's see, we can go to our first kid question, which is from Apiwe in New York City. So let's go to Apiwe.
Hello, my name is Apiwe and I am 9 years old. I enjoyed Raya and the Last Dragon because it was a very lively and colorful movie. In this film, why did you only create water dragons and not other dragons like light dragons or fire dragons? Because there are many different elements that help support and create life on Earth. What is the meaning behind this?
This is a very good question.
That is an awesome question.
Awesome question. Who asked us that?
I know. So the reason behind the water dragon is because it's based on the mythology of the Southeast Asian regions, and it's a creature called the Naga, which is a water being, a creature, a dragon that is very connected to the water. They have control over the water, and even weather, and they're kind of almost holy beings in terms of they're wise, and they're very revered across many different Southeast Asian cultures. And that's what Sisu's character is based on, and all the dragons actually are based on the Naga. And we wanted that deep, and honor that deep connection with water.
Right, that makes sense.
That's a great
That was an
question, though.
excellent question. Yep. All right, our next question is from Morgan.
Hi, I'm Morgan, and I'm 9, and I'm from Hermosa Beach, California. My question is, why did you want to become an actor?
That's for you, Don Hall.
Has to be.
No, it's not. No, it's not.
Oh my goodness. I think at a very young age, I knew that I loved stories. I was a huge bookworm. And I loved spending time in these different magical worlds. And I just wanted to continue being part of that. Yeah.
Right. Yes. Right. Our next question is from Raya.
Hi, my name is is Raya, and I'm 8 years old, and I'm from Brooklyn, New York. Why did you choose the names Raya and Sisu for your main characters?
She has the Sisu shirt.
Well,
She has the Funko.
The Funkos, I know.
So much
you got everything. Well, I'll start with Sisu because Sisu's name comes from the language that was created for the movie, the language of Kumandran that was written for us by a linguist who's written languages for other fantasy worlds as well that we love. And Sisu actually means in the Kumandran language something like fast water or water that moves quickly. And we love the sound of it. Sisu, it's so easy to say and it's so like lovely. Her full name is Sisu Datu because that is sort of her name of respect, but everybody calls her Sisu for short. So that's where Sisu came from. Adele, you want to talk about Raya? Because I remember the day.
Sure. Yeah. So Raya is going to be the name of our warrior princess. So it was a very important name. And we went through hundreds of them. And I remember we were in a room and I was very excited when the name Raya came up because I grew up in Malaysia. And in Malay, Raya means a big celebration and it also means large and great. And when I talked about that, Fawn Veerasunthorn, who's our head story artist, she grew up in Thailand. And she said, oh, you know, in Thai, it also means a great leader. So we thought, well, that's great. It sounds amazing. And it means something wonderful and auspicious and fantastic. And, you know, being a strong leader in many different languages. So we thought, you know, let's give that a try.
And that it stuck. I remember the day when we all got the name Raya approved as the name of our main character and as part of the name of the film, and Adele and Fawn and I were just celebrating. We're all high-fiving because we love the name so much. So.
Yep, they're both so evocative. Raya and Sisu makes perfect sense. Thank you for sharing that. All right, I think we have one more kid question, and that's from Brady.
Hi, my name is Brady Thomas. I'm 11 years old and I live in Dallas, Texas. How hard was the process to sync the voiceover and the animation together?
That's a good question too.
It is a good question. Yeah.
That looks like a filmmaker in the making.
Yep. Just to clarify, we actually record the voices first and then animate to the voices. So all the voice recording happens independent of the animation. So we get the performance, we cut it in editorial, and then the animators animate to that. And obviously with this film, there was a lot of very special circumstances in how we recorded. Usually it's in an amazing recording studio with just brilliant equipment and just the top of the state-of-the-art kind of stuff. For this movie, it was, as we showed in the clip, in a lot of closets and tents and hotel rooms and wherever we could get people. Most of the recording was done like that.
And you know what's amazing about this process is that it allows the animators to be inspired by the actors. So we record, every time we record the sound, we also have a few video cameras recording them as they perform these lines. So then that video goes to the animators and they get to see Kelly's gestures or Aquafina's mannerisms or how they say this, you know, specific syllable or this word. And then that's why, you know, people say these characters look so much like the actors who are voicing it. And it really is because we're inspiring every single move, every single eye blink in how our actors performed it. So it's a really nice dynamic that exists between the artists that are creating it and the artists that are voicing them.
And just so you know, when you record from home, sometimes the quality isn't good enough to use. So we have to do a thing that we call ADR, which is, it's quite complicated. And some actors are really good at it. Kelly is really good at it. And what happens is now we have the performance, the animation was done to the performance, but we need the voice again. So now we are matching acting to voice, right? Kelly, you're watching the playback and just trying to make it fit. And then we had to do quite a bit of that on this movie, more than usual. And our actors were very gracious and really good at it.
ADR is really hard, I think. I've had to do it before and I was terrible at it, and it's really, really hard.
It is so hard to, like, especially because when you're just saying a line because you're in in the moment, it's fine. But you hear yourself saying it, you're like, why did I say it that way? Okay, wait, how many seconds do I have to say this word? It's very strange. Yeah.
Yeah, and then the beep goes off, and you're just you're suddenly nervous. I know it's not a chill environment. ADR.
It happened a few times with the actors who were doing ADR, and you play a little bit before and a little bit after the line that you're having to recreate, and so many people are just like, can I redo the one after too? We're like, no, that's animated. Just ignore it. You're good.
So it's incredible that this was made under such challenges. It's just extraordinary. All right, I think we have maybe time for 2 questions that we can pull from the live feed. So let me just go to that. This next one I love and I think is so great about the cultural specificity in the film. So this person's writing and saying, love the food in the film. Can you talk about the focus on food in the movie?
It's funny because if you know any Southeast Asians, we are obsessed with food. We wake up thinking about food. We're eating one meal, and then we're eating breakfast and thinking like, "Ooh, what's lunch gonna be?" And also, it's because of all those night markets, like the market you see in Talonport. We have night markets, we have morning markets, and all of it's to do with food. And so aside from us all loving to eat so much, food is also a way that it's our language of love. It's how we bring people in. It's how we share share our wealth with the community and bring people together. So you see, you can tell in the movie too, like all the key moments with Raya do happen around food, when her father's trying to teach her a lesson about the lands, and Raya thinks all these other people are her enemy, and he's trying to say, well, no, like just because something is different doesn't mean it's your enemy. And he shows this to her by making her a bowl of soup, and also by making her soup, it's also it's a loving lesson and how he shows love and affection for her. And then when you see Raya when she's grown up, and she's bitter by the world, she doesn't trust people, you can see it because she's eating that one piece of jerky that's not meant for sharing, and it is not delicious. We know because we had like this meal that all of us had to share once, and Don, I blame you for this. He made us try jackfruit jerky, and it is exactly like how Sisu reacts to it, where it's like chewing a shoe. And then when
we needed that experience to just know what it was like. Yeah,
that's right. It was research on what never to eat again. And then when Raya starts opening up and she brings more people into her life and she starts trusting them, we have that beautiful scene on the boat where they're all adding all their ingredients to this dish, and Raya adds her own, this thing that she brought from her father, and so that she's once again you can see her, she's opening up and she's sharing this meal with everybody around her.
I don't know if you guys remember, but like when a scene is pitched, when we storyboard the film, we get together and we watch a pitch, everybody together, all the story artists and directors, writers, everybody, we watch it and talk about it. And every scene that had food in it was the most beautifully drawn, beautifully rendered, like Michelangelo type drawings of food, because our story artists were just so in love with this idea of tracking the theme of trust through food. They got so into drawing food. So we should make an art of book just with the food drawings in Raya and the Last Dragon.
Just to say that one of the things that Fawn Verasunthorn, our head of story who grew up in Thailand, brought to the table is she was thinking a lot about all the flavors that come together, particularly in Thai food, but in food across all of Southeast Asia. And in a sense, all these flavors aren't expected to go together. There's a kind of all these different flavors. When you put them together in Southeast Asian food, somehow you get some of the best food, particularly street food, in the entire world. And that it fed so much into our theme. So that was also one of the things.
And that was the direct inspiration for the soup in our movie, just the fact that it became a visual metaphor of the entire journey of the movie, bringing people from different backgrounds together and just finding something in common that is beautiful and that is greater than all of these ingredients on their own. So it was, I think that fun contribution was a profound one.
Amazing.
I also, just looking at the different things that went into that soup, they were actually just random pieces that kind of were representative of the different countries that we were looking at, like, oh, this bamboo shoot, this shrimp paste. Fawn actually went out and tried to find a recipe that included all 5 of those things, which ended up being tom yum soup. But when created, like when Adele and I put those ingredients in, they were there to represent like people, and it took like that little element of Fawn going, I'm gonna go and find that actual recipe so I know what food we're gonna put on screen that will have these 5 ingredients. And she went out and found that tom yum soup uses all 5 of those ingredients, which I just blown away that Adele and I just accidentally fell into that.
Wow,
That's
that's the first
fantastic.
time I've heard that story, and it makes me so happy.
It's great.
It's so cool.
Yeah, that's the secret to why tom yum is so delicious.
Exactly.
And I love that parallel too between like what you're saying about the 5 different ingredients in the soup and the different lands, all sort of making up this body of like this collective brilliant energy. And you've brought it so incredibly to the screen, and it's obviously resonating with audiences in such a deep way. So from the bottom of our hearts, we thank you. You've brought these incredible cultures together and importantly represented them on the screen, and this wonderful, strong females stories. And it's just brilliant. And we're so grateful that you've shared it with us. And thank you so much for all that you've done.
Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thanks so much.
You.
You.
It's
Appreciate
been
it.
so wonderful. Congratulations and thanks. Thank you everybody for joining us. Share Raya for the few that haven't seen it yet. Share it to all your friends and family. It's an incredible film. And thank you again and congratulations everyone. All right, have a great evening. Good night.
Bye-bye.
See you, everybody.